Hello and welcome to another in our series of new arranger interviews. Welcome to Beverley Mason. Hello, Beverley.
Hello, Craig. How are you?
I'm fine. Well, you've actually had your arrangements on the site for a while now. Because we had so many join last year, we haven't got round
Yeah.
to saying hello to everybody. And you're going to be featured next month anyway, so this is perfect
Woohoo.
timing. I know. So, what I like to do is to just ask you a little bit about your musical life and your
Okay.
inspirations and where you're coming from and where you're
Okay.
going. So the first question is the same one as everybody is asked, and it's your first recollection of, I suppose, music as a thing, as a child, as an early memory that you thought, "Wow, this is amazing. This is music? Is it? Was it some sort of singing or some music or some record or the radio?"
Um, I would say, so my dad plays the piano. Um, and and he would always be playing, some Schubert, some whatever. My sisters, both older than me, they're musical. So one was on the violin, one was on the piano, the other one was on the clarinet. And I think my first venture into music was probably through dancing. I was a bit of a dance freak, ballet and things. And I would just be the little dot in the household prancing around to their music. So that's right, because my dad's the piano was in my parents' bedroom because it was a downstairs bedroom. So I would just be bouncing around on my mum and dad's bed, basically, as the prima ballerina that obviously I was going to be, to my dad's music, basically. So I think dancing. I used to love Fame Academy, Fame on the telly, and
Right.
and we had the two albums, one and two, obviously, and I remember dancing crazily to that too, and just discovering that music made me want to move and
Mm.
it made me want to just express myself in the most glorious way, darling.
Fame was a massive hit, wasn't it? It was a huge. I want to live forever. That
That
song was a huge hit. The series was a massive hit. It was a big deal on telly, wasn't it, at the
it
time?
really was. And I remember Star Maker in particular. I love my ballads. So I remember the song Star Maker that all the cast sang on the end of the first season or whatever it was. And and I
So how
remember
old
again,
were you when you did this dancing?
this was
And
about when I was about 6.
okay, so yes, it's then a very early memory. This
So
is
this is very early 80s, very early, just dancing around in my tutu to Fame, to Star Maker, which was a big Fame hit, and to my sisters and my dad's music, basically. So I think dancing was probably the first way in, shall we say,
right.
probably.
And so here's your family inspiration right there. Your dad was
Very
a
much.
piano player, and how much older were your sisters than you?
They are 7 and 9 years older. They'll be
Quite a
delighted I'm
lot.
saying that.
Yes,
They're
that's
very old.
quite a gap. Yes, so they were already quite accomplished and
They were,
could
they
play stuff.
were.
Did
Yeah,
great.
my sister was going up to grade 8, piano and violin, quite a young age. So I had some really decent music around me when I was quite little, really.
And did you feel, oh, I want to play something as well, or did you have a go at something early on?
Yeah, so well, my other sister was a clarinetist, and when she was babysitting me, she used to terrify me with the Jaws theme on the clarinet, and um, and clarinet was definitely the thing I didn't want to play. And then I went to secondary. So I tried the violin at primary, done a bit of violin, literally scratched my way through grade 1, found it wasn't my instrument at all. Went to secondary and I've been taking piano lessons. So yes, I've basically been following my sister's uh, example, but then got to secondary school and desperately wanted to be a flautist. And because of course I'd tried the clarinet from my sister, the woodwind teacher said, so I tried the clarinet, tried the flute, couldn't get a sound out of the flute. And it was, oh, you'd be a clarinetist then. So I ended up being exactly like my sisters, violin, clarinet, piano, and then singing eventually.
Right. Oh, now that's interesting because that was my next question. You say singing eventually.
Well,
So it's going to take you back. Was there any singing in primary school that
oh
you
yeah,
remember?
definitely. So I mean, I say singing eventually. Singing was always part of my childhood. It was so my sisters both sang. My eldest sister was in the church choir. My mum sang. Um, And from a very, very early age, my sisters and I were, well, we were the Beverley sisters, of course. So of course, we were singing in three-part harmony right from a really early age.
Right.
We were coined the Beverley sisters by a friend of ours, and that was it. It's kind of stuck.
But you were the only one that was called Beverly. This
Well, indeed, they loved that
this
particularly, that the
that was
little dot was the.
perfect. Absolutely amazing. And did you get into sort of performing, singing at primary level? And was there
Well,
a choir
again, as I
teacher
say,
who influenced you, inspired you at that age?
it was more so I was doing my ballet. I did ballet
Yeah.
throughout primary school, and so found kind of so I was being the school plays and things. I
Hmm.
loved singing. Joined the church choir when I was 9.
Hmm.
And that ended up being my thing, being the thing that was my main love, shall we say. But yeah, I loved primary school, I loved remember singing the harmonies of Streets of London in assembly.
Right.
And I was always wanting to be on the harmony side, shall we say.
There you
Um
go. So you knew
but
there
yeah,
was
we
a
had a
thing called
great
a harmony, and you could have graduated to. You didn't want to be like everyone else. You wanted to sing it at the
No,
bit that fitted.
never. I would argue, as my partner would argue, that I still can't sing the melody. We'll be in the car and he'll be saying, "Would you flipping well sing the tune for once?" And I was like, "No." But
Yeah,
yes, the harmony was always the
many
attraction.
of us would argue that that's what it's all about, the harmonies, isn't
Well,
it?
I think
That's why we
so.
do it
Exactly.
in community choirs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's lovely. So secondary school music, you found your feet, as well as the ballet. You did your singing, you did your flute, and
Clarinet.
oh, sorry,
Remember,
clarinet.
it was the wannabe.
Hang on, I'm confused. Earlier on, you said you didn't want to be a clarinetist because
That's
that's what
correct.
your
But
sister did.
clarinet was the only instrument I could get a sound out of. So I
Ah.
ended up following the path of my elder sister unwittingly and unwantingly. So yes, I didn't end up being a flautist at
Well,
all.
that's impressive because I think we've all heard the clarinet being played first thing. That's
Oh yes,
first off, it's never the nicest sound, is it?
it really isn't.
Fantastic. So you sang in the choir at church, and
Mm,
did you sort of get a sense of feeling of what choirs did then? I mean, were you listening to the parts behind you and sort of
very much,
particular
very
music
much.
you loved and in the church? Do you remember?
Yeah, I loved it. My mum was the church verger, so church was a big thing for us. And I was again the youngest in the church choir for quite a while. But really, really loved it. I had a great choir director and was head chorister by 12.
Wow.
I was doing, all the RSCM awards, like the Bishop's Award and all those kind of things, going through all that. And and basically singing became my first thing. Clarinet and piano were there, but singing and choir were, from about 10, 11 years of age,
Hmm.
before I went to secondary school, I would say, were really, it was the most important thing. And as I say, my sisters and I were always singing together, you know, harmonizing to ABBA, to Duran Duran, Chris de Burgh,
And was this just
everything.
at home, or did you get a chance to perform with your sisters?
We did. We sang at a couple of weddings just as a trio, and that was the first time because we did so one of my arrangements is Edelweiss. It's a three-parter.
Hmm.
It's a really lovely
Very
one.
nice. Yeah.
And basically we kind of that evolved through my sisters and I singing together. And that was the first one really that we did. We sang it at a wedding, and yeah, and we just found our voices because our voices are very, very similar. And we just found that our blend worked well and we loved singing together basically.
Beautiful. And so, as you went through, finished school, and you left school, what was the next stage in your education, or did you get in?
Yeah, well, I did my GCSE music. I had a great music teacher at secondary school, Mr. Mann, his name was,
Right.
and he was brilliant. He put great shows on, and I was part of the music clique. The ones who are always in the music room, and blah blah blah. Um, but yeah, played Mary Magdalene in the school show in Jesus Christ Superstar. So loved my musical theatre as well. But whenever choir things in school came up, I was always, wanting to be involved. But yeah, following that, I did A-level music at the same school. Um, Again, well, it was on my three instruments for, no, in fact, it was on my two instruments, clarinet and piano.
Yeah.
And then decided that I wanted to carry on and did my music degree at Exeter. and I did that on voice, much to my music teacher's horror because I hadn't got any grades in my voice. I'd done all my grades in clarinet and piano, and he was saying, "Oh, but Beverley, they're not going to let you on your voice," but they did. So I went to Exeter, did my music degree, and it was great.
That's interesting. So even though you didn't have the grades with your voice, you were able to convince them this is your prime study.
Definitely, definitely. I think my choral singing, my church choral singing, because as part of because we were in a church choir, but then I was in a bigger um, group, which was a choir that went around all the cathedrals, and basically was the dep choir for the cathedral choirs. So we were singing to a really high standard, howls, um, a lot of de Rufflé, some really lovely high standard things. So by the time I came to 18, despite the fact I'd had a few singing lessons, but I hadn't trained, through your typical kind of singing lesson route. But I got enough technique and enough, you know, background and
Yeah.
knowledge to basically convince them.
And was it just a classical thing at Exeter, or did it branch out into other styles?
It was predominantly classical, so early music was and is still my love. I was in a 16 voice group called Cantors, and we still meet together now. We've
Oh, lovely.
become Cantores now, and we meet in London every few years now. 30 years later or however long it is, and we sing a lot of Bird and Palestrina and Lobo and all the wonderful Renaissance Tudor music. So early music was my big thing. I'm not going to lie, I might have joined the Gilbert and Sullivan Society at university and
Yeah.
got got my acting prowess going.
You kept the performing going in there with it. That's great. I mean, you're a rock choir leader
I am.
as among other things as well. So there's definitely a journey to be made there. That's fascinating. When did you start leading choirs, or actually doing the leading of a choir, as opposed to just singing in one?
Yeah. Well, straight after university, so as part of my university course, we'd obviously done some conducting, we'd done leading ensembles, and I did really well in the ensemble leading portion of my course. Anyway, I came back to where I was living previously with my mum, and the church choir I'd been in, since from 9 years of age to 18, was needing a musical director. So basically, at 18, I took it on, and it was great. So I did that for a year and a half. Am I fibbing here? No, I'm not. That was directly after university. That's right. And we didn't shy away from the big stuff. We did Fauré's Requiem. We did big nine lessons and carols. It was a great training ground for me. That
Mhm.
was. Yeah, and I loved it. I loved it. I love directing choirs. I mean, I have to confess, I do miss singing in choirs, as just as a participant, as somebody who's just in the choir. But I do love to lead a choir. I really do. So that started off quite early on as well.
Well, you can always join the choir leaders choir. There's a couple of them. I
Wow.
think there is a couple going. Yes, I think Tim Allen does something, and there's one down south as well. So
Perfect.
yes, let's stay in touch about that. Um,
We will.
how did you? When did you come across? Like, oh, this is. I don't want to leap too far ahead. When did you come across choir community, and how?
During lockdown, actually.
Right.
I think you put a shout out for arrangers because I've been arranging music, as I say, kind of dipped in my toe into it years and years ago with my sisters, and I've always harmonized. I was a music teacher for over 20 years,
Mhm.
and within that role was running all the choirs and doing arrangements for the school kids. Um, anyway, so I had this kind of bundle of arrangements, and I've also got an a cappella group now, which I've been going for nearly 10 years, and so I was arranging for us. Um, anyway, came across choir community, and as I say, you have a bunch of arrangements in your drawer, and that you just think it'll just be us who ever get to sing it.
Yeah.
And anyway, saw you guys, and I just thought, My goodness, what an opportunity to get the opportunity to have arrangements of mine sung by other people in the country, in the world.
Mm.
What a great thing. So put my two pennies worth in. Have to say though, I missed the first arrangers slot. I think you
Ah,
were inundated by arrangers that first one. I think that was the what it was. And anyway, got in the second time, so it was
in the
great.
second time. Well, that's great to hear because this is what I'd imagined. This is part of our vision for choir community, was that there were other people like me that had arrangements in a drawer, and
Yes.
that legally we weren't allowed to sort of share them with other people,
Yes,
although people were asking. I said there must be a way of contacting the publishers to
exactly.
make this happen. So over this period of time, we are in a position now where we can do that, and it's people like you that we found and discovered, which is really lovely.
Yeah, it's brilliant because the amount of times people would come and say, "Where can I get your arrangements? Where can I,
Mm.
And there was no opportunity to do that. So it's just
Yes.
perfect. It's wonderful.
Now I realise we've leapt ahead a bit here. You said you were a teacher for many years. How did you
Mm.
come to being a teacher after university?
Well, it was never my ambition to be a teacher. I wanted to go and do an early music masters performance, and but funding was just never on my side, basically. So then I thought I'll do my PGCE to fund my way through doing a masters. Did my PGCE and immediately was offered a full-time job and just thought, and you end up going that route, don't you? So
Yeah.
basically started teaching secondary music back in 2003. No, 2000. That's what it
Okay.
was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and was immediately the
And you
choir
didn't
person.
know then how long you were going to stick with it. This was something you were sort of like, well, I'll just do this for the time being.
Well, exactly. I mean, I say fortunately for me, I did classroom teaching for 3 years and then joined Staffordshire Performing Arts, which is so working in all the primary schools as the music lady, shall we say? So visiting peripatetically around the county, and loved that actually because it gave me the variety. I was able to, I led the county girls choir. I was the soprano tutor for the youth choir. I was able to do singing lessons. So it really ticked my kind of singing choral leading box that as well as keeping my teaching going. And did that for 8 years and then returned to the classroom again. And as I say, was doing lots of arrangements for the school choirs and took the kids on tour. And so I've had a lot of experience with children's choirs, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
But it
and
sounds like just not your average, like, young voices children's choir that just sing one line. You had harmonies, you had
oh yeah,
senior schools with, and did they learn their parts by heart and perform
they
them to
did. They I
a high
and
standard?
this is what I've always, I suppose, gone, dare I say, go for more challenging arrangements, simply because when I was working with the secondary school kids, I was amazed just how much they picked it up.
Mm.
And we took a group of 40 secondary kids. And, these aren't private school kids. These aren't music. They're not all studying music. These are just kids who love to sing, boys and girls. We took boys from the sixth form right from year 7 up to year 13. And we were doing, so I did a Coldplay arrangement. I did all sorts of different arrangements in 5, 6 parts.
Mm.
And they would just learn it. And that'd be amazing. Um, and so I always thought to myself, if kids can do this, it's worth challenging others to do it as well.
Yeah, that's
So
good. So one of my questions is, do you have a special kind of approach to arranging, or is there anything you can home in on there, or do you treat every song differently and think of different ways to do it, or do you have an ethos that you have about how you like to arrange?
invariably, it'll be finding a song which I think will work for a start. And invariably, it'll be on a dog walk. And I'll have my phone with me and I'll be singing ideas into my phone. It comes very organically, my arrangements do. I used to spend a lot of time sat at the piano writing, working out the chords to an arrangement and then and writing and then working out how I divide that into the voices. And I've changed that now. I go a lot more, I say a lot more organically, where I'll sing the ideas in. and then work out how that can be incorporated into the arrangement.
Okay, and I've noticed a lot of your stuff is a cappella. You don't often have a piano part there.
No.
Is that something that you particularly favor, or just that's the way that how your mind
It's
works?
just the way things have fallen for because as I say, I've got an a cappella group,
Mm,
and I've written for them for the last 10 years. So as I say, every single one of my arrangements has been a cappella. Having said that, I play the piano and I love, looking at it's really nice to see what the other arrangers do on Choir Community because there's some beautiful piano accompaniment, and thereby bringing the number of parts to write for, it can
mm.
come, you can have one part, you can have a unison part, a lot more. So it's something which I'm looking into.
Yeah. Of course, when you're a cappella, that's you've got to rely on all just the voices to do all the backings, and everything, and
100%.
so I really really enjoy looking and reading and listening to your stuff. Out of all your first page of arrangements, which one particularly are you most pleased with or excited about? You want to point people towards, or
Well,
all of them?
well, all of them. I mean, one that we love the Over the Rainbow, and we love Runaway,
Yes.
Runaway by the Cause. So we entered Midland Choir of the Year last year, and we're in the finals, and we got to sing these pieces, and they just, I love beautiful arrangements,
Mm,
and as I say, I guess it comes from the line of singing early music, I suppose, and the polyphony, and I say I love scrunchiness and anything like that, and I'm there.
yeah. Do you have a way of making sure that everyone in a choir is engaged in an arrangement? Is that something that's important to you, or are you okay to
Yeah.
give somebody a do part all the way through?
There are often do parts, but I work hard to try not to give that just to my bass part.
Yeah,
So I mean obviously sometimes there are a few do-dos, a few do-dos. Um but yeah, it's important to get the words in there, the lyrics, and to have the lyrics entwined. I say in proper polyphony, you're gonna have all the parts entwined and singing and having a joint importance, shall we say, rather than just
yeah.
the melody at the top and an ooh or a doo-doo, whatever at the bottom.
That's right. So yes, that's important. That influence from a Renaissance music
Yeah.
where the parts are layered and they take
Yes.
it in turns to feature, like you say. That's an important way of putting that across. You can do it with pop music, can't you? You can have that
Very
same
much.
ethos. Yeah,
Very much. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. So is there anything you're working on at the moment that we don't know about yet that you're particularly excited
Well,
about?
just I believe that there's a new batch coming in the next couple of 3 weeks,
Okay,
which has got some Christmas tunes in there.
excellent.
Um,
Just in time.
yeah, just in time. And there's I've because I mean, as I say, I've written in the past for just female voices because that's my a cappella group, whereas I've branched out to arrange for SAB or SATB or all the different varieties. So there's different different groups can access them. But we've got a lovely Holly Jolly Christmas,
Very good.
which is a right little jolly number. We've got a three-part White Christmas, which I do like my jazziness as well. So I have noticed that my Christmas pieces, if they're not lush, they're jazzy. So I
Yeah.
so
One or
that's
the other. Good.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, definitely. Tell us a bit about rock choirs because I've never done a rock choir, but I'm also very aware of how amazing it is.
Hmm.
How did you get into the rock choir thing, and tell us something about
Yeah.
the special nature of it?
Oh, it's wonderful. So my sisters are both rock choir members.
Wow.
So they're in the next county, and they've been telling me for years because they love it, that I should be a leader. And of course, I was teaching for years, and it was never the right time, shall we say. And then 3 years ago, I moved away from what I was doing before, and decided, do you know what? I've moved away from my school. Now's the right time. And I just thought, what an opportunity to be a choir leader for my job.
Mm.
So I run 6 rock choirs in the
Wow.
area. I know,
Ah,
as well as my a cappella group as well. Um, so it really is full on. Um, and it's wonderful. I've got over 300 members in the county, all spread around. Um, and I mean, rock choir is just such a wonderful, with any community choir, it's that bringing together of people who invariably haven't sung before.
Mhm.
Most of them walk in, and I mean, I had a lady just a couple of nights ago walk in for the first time and say, "Oh, I can't sing." And I'll say, "Well, come and enjoy it anyway, and see how you go." And invariably, they walk out having had the best time because that's what singing together brings you, isn't it? It's that
That's good.
wonderful joy of singing together, and they discovered harmony singing for the first time. I mean, some of them are a little bit surprised that rock choir is actually in harmony. Invariably, it's four-part harmony. And again, we have some quite complex arrangements for rock choir, and none of these, or very few of them, are trained singers. They don't have the music; they do it all by rote,
Right.
and they learn them, and they sound amazing. It's great.
And with the learning by rote, do they have any like words on a sheet or a screen, or is it absolutely by ear, everything?
It's so they have resources online so that they can go away and learn them. But yeah, when they perform, it's all by memory,
And you get
and
a very immediate response then, don't you? Maybe it's just
100%.
a chorus or just a verse, but you get to a quite a high standard quite quickly because the heads are up, they're all looking, they're all staring
Exactly.
in it and looking at you.
Yeah,
It's a real focus about
yeah, and
the whole thing.
it's something I say because I mean I've prior to rock choir, I mean obviously I did my school choirs and we'd try and get things from memory, but invariably they have word sheets. But prior to that, it's all classical, all choral church music, and they've got their music in front of them. And getting people to watch, getting people to engage was a real battle. Whereas with rock choir, as exactly that, it's immediate, and everyone learns to perform very, very quickly. And I mean, we have a little bit of a move as well. So that performance becomes everything. And I think that's what's one of the wonderful things about rock choir.
And your training in dance is going to help there, isn't it? Because then you've got a natural affinity with the moves and grooves. Some of us more, shall we say, reserved choral people don't go for the moves very
I know,
much.
I know.
Maybe
I
the
mean,
odd song here and there, but
yeah, I mean, I would hesitate to say training in dance. I did ballet. I wouldn't say training in dance. There's a difference.
okay.
However, yes,
You're
I do
clearly
love a
comfortable in
bit of a groove.
that that groove. Well, Bev, it's been fantastic talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome to your to choir community, although you've
Thank you
been here
so
for quite a
much.
while. And we hope we enjoy many more of your arrangements in the years to come.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks, Craig. Bye bye.